Your thoughts?
One, I'm very happy. And we were waiting for Mother, and she said she will have to make her choice. Yesterday, if you listen to her when she was doing the interview, she said the kind of a team she's looking for. And when she was describing the team, I was almost 100% sure that she was talking about the team Azimio. And so today she confirmed to Kenyans which team Kenyans are safe with. And I want to tell her, welcome to the big team, Azimio la Umoja. I am so happy that we now have the Iron Lady. So as you can see now, we have Ngilu, we have Mother, and as women, she has just made our caucus now a stronger caucus in Azimio, and I would really want to welcome her. I'm very happy today. Today is our best day.
Yeah.
To have Martha.
Gladys Shollei, your thoughts on that? Martha Karua supporting Azimio la Umoja and Raila Odinga, your thoughts?
I mean, Martha is perfectly within her rights to choose which political formation she wants to join. But she was really out of choices because she had been in the One Kenya Alliance. Everybody in One Kenya Alliance had already moved to Azimio or to the Kenya Kwanza team. So she was in a situation where she had to pick either of the sides, yes.
Yeah, we're hearing she could be in the running for running mate. What are your thoughts about that?
No, if Azimio had a woman running mate, then as a woman I would be pleased, especially a woman who's as strong as Martha Karua, so whom I highly respect. So I think that would be a step in the right direction in terms of encouragement of women to go for higher political positions.
Yeah,
I think that would be a good move,
sure.
A good pace to set, because currently Azimio doesn't have a very good record of having women in leadership in the party.
Sabina Chege, what do you have to say about that? Azimio doesn't have a good record of having women.
I think she knows we are women and not men, and we're in Azimio. And we have also been bestowed the leadership even in the campaigns. And so it is good and good news for all women in Kenya. And the party that will pick a woman as a running mate, I'm sure that the party that majority of the women will vote for, and majority of Kenyans. And this will also encourage the women who are also taking other positions, be it from the MCA, the MPs, the senators, and the governors. It's going to be an encouragement. And so I pray that our team will actually pick a woman. And so Mother coming in, if she's the one, we pray, we are going to be very, very, very happy. And I know then majority of the people who are undecided, that's a vote that will come to Azimio.
Do you think Martha has a good chance of being the running mate in your...
Sure, she's well experienced, and I said she's an Iron Lady. She's a woman who is focused, she's firm, so I wouldn't rule her out. She's a very strong woman. Yeah. And even when we had the meeting with Maendeleo Wanawake, you saw they endorsed her and they said whichever candidate will pick Mother. She's among our best women that we have had who have been strong. She has quite a long experience from being a cabinet secretary. She has been there Moi's time, Kibaki's time, and she has her own political party. So she's quite a strong woman. Yeah.
Gladys Shollei, should UDA also consider having a woman as a running mate?
Yes, it's on the discussion table. But just to go back to respond to Sabina, and also to clarify my point, that ODM, Azimio, has not had a good track record. Out of of my minority is a man. The leader of majority, my minority also in Senate is a man, it's Orengo. And the chief whip in the National Assembly is Junet, who's also a man. So Yes, and in fact, it took the handshake for someone as accomplished as Gladys Wanga to make it as chair of a parliamentary committee. It's only after the handshake that she got chairperson of finance. If you look at the unveiled Raila's campaign council, the top 7 people, there's only one woman, that's Dr. Sally Kosgei. So yes, I think they have a lot of redeeming to do.
Don't forget Charity Ngilu's in
and
there.
I would have expected them even to give a senior position to Sabina Chege, who's also has been a formidable politician in the Azimio Jubilee formation.
Absolutely.
Why they didn't give us a senior position, I am surprised.
Let me ask her.
So I'll be persuading Sabina at some point that she should move to our team.
Yeah.
Because even now, when you look at it, there's no woman from Central Kenya that has been given that position, a strong position in the Azimio formation front.
Sabina Chege, do you hear that?
That is my observation in relation to women. So even if they were to give the position of deputy president to a woman, there's still a lot to be done about that.
Sabina Chege, you heard that, huh?
On the UDA, on the other side, we have a woman secretary general.
Yeah.
And when we announce the various positions, you will be able to see that there will be formidable women in various positions in the UDA party.
Okay, let me ask Sabina, she's right here. How come they didn't consider you for one of these senior positions?
I think the only positions that have been announced officially are from the various political parties, and we are going to have a bigger team that is in the Azimio. So I'll also tell her to wait and see the bigger party, the bigger umbrella leadership that is going to be to take care of Azimio, which we will have several women there. I don't want to preempt, but that announcement is going to be done. And so I'll tell them that's not something enough to entice me to go to the other side.
But she says you're welcome there anytime, huh?
I am happy where I am.
By the way, what position are you running for? We're not clear, we're not sure. What are you running for?
I have not yet announced my position because I have a bigger responsibility during the national campaigns. So we are still on negotiations, and if you look at how politics are being done now, there's a lot of negotiations going on. So not yet, and I'll not disclose it now, but I'll be making my announcement very soon.
Last time you said you might consider running for governor of Murang'a County. I remember you said that last time.
Might, yes, might.
So you won't reveal?
Uasin Gishu is diverse, and I think the people of Uasin Gishu are privileged that we've never lived in a cocoon at all. It's always been a place that's open for everyone. I know there's a lot of mention, I think Honorable Sabina has mentioned about we just want peaceful elections. And it's interesting, I hear that from her today, because earlier I was speaking to somebody else on phone from Azimio, and they said to me, we want peace and unity. So I asked them, Kenya has not been at war at all. At all. We haven't had a war. We haven't had any civil unrest. So I don't know which peace they are saying we should have now. Kenya had great, perfect elections in 2013. In 2017, also the elections went well. Kenyans themselves did not fight in 2017 after the elections. It was Raila Odinga and a few of his the political leaders of ODM who went on the street and demonstrated and were throwing stones even at the police, that the police had to unleash tear gas on them. And they were going to government offices, the IEBC, and demanding that IEBC must go. So that was their own little war that they created. That does not mean that there was any unrest in Kenya. The unrest was what Raila was creating in the streets. So he cannot tell us now that he must get credit for having undertaken the handshake and therefore brought peace. The war was within yourself, and then now you took it upon yourself to be congratulated and rewarded for doing what you ought to have done in the first place after the elections were won. If you remember in 2017, a proper statesman would normally say, if the court has nullified the elections and say that we go to a second poll, a second repeat election, what you do as a statesman is you respect the decision and the judgment of the court and the rule of law, and go back and campaign again and persuade people to vote for you. Like that is what Jubilee members did at that time. We went back around the country and campaigned for Uhuru Kenyatta for a second time. What did Raila Odinga do? He told his people to boycott elections. He also caused them and incited them to actually attack IEBC officials who are taking ballot papers to parts of Nyanza, which is his stronghold. So the unrest that existed was his own creation. So don't let him come and tell us now that he's somebody who obeys the rule of law. It is a fact, and we know that IEBC officials were injured and were attacked on his instigation. So, yes, I don't know, what do you call it, as the leopard changed its spots or what? Yes. So we know who he is. So these are facts, it's not a story. You can check the newspaper articles. You reported it yourselves when there was the boycott. So that is not how a statesman behaves. A statesman will concede defeat and go back and ask the electorate to vote for him a second time.
All right,
then you can't later then come and... In fact, the reason why... When he went to the Supreme Court a second time after the repeat elections, obviously no one was going to even hear him out because he did not go to the election in the first place. So of course he didn't even have the requisite number of votes because his own strongholds did not vote because he asked them to boycott. So we are tired of this kind of games, and that is not the kind of leaders that we want in this country.
Okay, by the way... ODM Chairman John Mbadi has just said Sifuna, point of correction to you, Gladys, he says Sifuna did not succeed Zani, he succeeded Ababu Namwamba, and the current CEO of Azimio is a lady. That's what John Mbadi is saying. And let's go to a text message real quick here. We have one before we move on. Yes? Is it a tweet or a text? It's an SMS, yeah? Okay, Maureen says, we see some of the women MPs are called upon during rallies to gyrate their bodies for the crowds. Is that an example you want women to follow? Are they just dancing puppets? Sabina Chege?
Our women don't do that. We know which side of the women who do that, and I would not recommend it. It's uncouth. Yeah. I don't think we are there to show our bodies. We are there to show leadership.
Okay. Gladys, your thoughts?
The thing is, I do appreciate that different cultures and communities have different traditions and behavioral modes. I know that in other communities it's acceptable to dance in a certain way. They have their own dance style, and it's acceptable. My people are very conservative, so you probably wouldn't see me do that, but I don't have anything to find offensive if someone is dancing the way culturally is an acceptable dance in their culture. And if you're referring to the dancing of Senator Omanga when she came to Uasin County, she danced. That is a dance from the community that she comes from. That is their dance, and so I remember that the crowds were excited because it's the way I would be excited to see a dance from another culture that isn't mine. It's fascinating. So there's nothing wrong with it.
There's a lot of twerking.
Our cultures are different. I don't think you should criticize anyone. And I've seen young people today. It's like when I see young people, they dress a certain way. I may not necessarily dress like them, but I'm tolerant enough to know that they belong to a different age group, a different culture, and a different time from me. I can't expect everyone to behave like me.
Sabina Chege, you're smiling there.
Yeah, because that was not a traditional song. And actually, the one they did, I don't want to go further because she's a woman like me. I don't want to come here and discuss another woman. But I've said I don't think it's acceptable when you see a man actually calling a woman to come on stage and dance. It's lack of respect. Yeah, why couldn't they call men to come there on stage and dance? And this was during their launch. That was the dance actually. It was a Luo dance actually. So I don't really want to delve on that. But a few things that came up. One, it's bad when we bury our heads in the sand like the ostrich. We know what happens in Kenya after every 5 years. So when I was talking about peaceful elections, we would not want to go. We know history; it's there. And, when Gladys says that was an issue, it's good that she's privileged to have interacted with these many people. This is a cosmopolitan area, and they are mostly in towns. But the challenge is that the people in the interior, in the rural areas, suffer. They're very different. But all the same, how many behaved. We know what happened. And it's not just about Raila saying about the elections. We know about 2007, where has the Kiambaa Church never been built. So I would not want to go back to history. But all I want to say is that when we talk about peaceful elections, we know why we are insisting about it. And so for me and for the team, I'm happy. She's saying this person said this, and now he seems to be the person who has changed. People get saved, and people change, and you learn from experience. And I know the things that Honorable Raila has gone through throughout the years, he has learned from their experience. And now he's already a statesman. And now he knows what to do and what not to do. And he has gone through the process. And so when we see people, and I don't know whether you have seen a video of a man who is in the USA, addressing the First Lady in Kenya. I don't know whether Gladys has seen that video. That is a guy who received the deputy president when he went to the US. I shivered and I was ashamed. I don't know why a man can actually have words like those ones, even if it's not the first, even if it's anybody. You cannot record such a video and put such words, very bad words. Even if you hate somebody so much, that was unacceptable. And I hope because that man, he has photos, I hope the other team will actually condemn him.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's a very bad video. I'll share with you later.
Okay.
It's a very bad video. And it seems it's a precedent that has come up, that some people believe by insulting that you're adding value to your team. But I don't think insults are adding value. And people are getting really upset. It is good when you go in public, when you have the freedom of speech, there's democracy in Kenya, but those bad words, and these videos, everybody, our children are able to access to them. It is unfortunate that at this time, nobody has condemned that. It is very unfortunate.
Yeah, Gladys Shollei, let me ask you this. Former First Lady, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, came out in a rare moment, and she says, those people who are talking this language, this is bad manners, basically. People who were not brought up well. What do you think of what she said?
I saw the presentation, and she seemed to be defending the president and said that people who talk badly are badly brought up. I think she probably needs to be reminded that Uhuru Kenyatta just recently was calling Raila Odinga Mogoroki, Sijui Nini. He said many things. There are many clips of him speaking in Kikuyu and being abusive. He's also, so I think to try and say that the president is the perfect person and a well-brought-up child that doesn't say anything negative, we just need to look at the clips. The way he behaved at the Jubilee, he basically instead of pushing the agenda of, because the NDC is a quasi-legal process where you should actually be saying your vision and unveiling a presidential candidate and the decisions of the parties. Instead, he went on an attacking spree on his deputy. So he's not above reproach when it comes to this issue. If you remember also when he was in Sagana, and as head of state, it is unacceptable that you speak in your mother tongue when you are actually supposed to be the symbol of unity.
It's not a crime.
A symbol of unity for Kenya, and you go and you call your tribesmen, you speak to them in your language, and then they even make the mistake of publicizing. It was a private function. He should have it at his home, and then he can speak to them at his mother tongue. But that was the state lodge. He must respect the seat of power. And I hope that this country is going to go back to a situation where we respect the presidency. You as president have an obligation to respect that seat that Kenyans honored you with. So you cannot begin to reach a point where it was actually a gossip column in Sagana. He was basically gossiping about his deputy in his mother tongue. That is not acceptable. It's not presidential at all. Yeah, so I think Uhuru Kenyatta is not above reproach on this point.
I don't think, and I'm not defending the president, I don't think the approach that Mama took yesterday was about, the president was trying to explain what happened and, the mistakes that happened between himself and the deputy president. But what Mama was addressing yesterday was those vulgar languages. And like that video, whatever is happening, there are people who went to almost her doorstep to talk about the oath and everything else, and they talked about very bad things. Very, very bad things. That's what she was referring to. So I don't think it's about this normal way. We all, even in Parliament, even herself, she's not perfect. There's always a time when you have your competition. There are those propagandas that come in, and that's not what she was referring to. President going to Sagana, that is his home. How many times have we seen the deputy president addressing his people in their mother tongue? Even Nelson Mandela said, once you speak to people in English, you speak to their minds. But once you speak to people in their mother tongue, you speak to their hearts. The president was trying to speak to the hearts of his people. He was at home. He was talking to the people that he lead. It was not meant for other people outside that he was taking leadership and explaining to his people what happened. We have seen several times the DP doing the same. So you cannot say that the president is the symbol of national unity. Every other time when he's doing the national, events, he addresses people in English and Swahili. And he has never done it in Kikuyu. So, but when he goes home, you can't deny him that right. You can't deny him to address his people and explain what happened. So at the NDC, addressing the issues that may have happened between himself and the DP, he never called DP names. And so when the mom came yesterday to talk, to address and say these people have been brought up badly because they are words you cannot say in public, Chef. They are words you cannot even say in public. And I wish you would see that video. It's vulgar. Even the elders have condemned it. So there's a trend that is coming up of people believing that when they use these words, I don't know, they become famous or they are attracting people. But it's actually very unfortunate because, what are we even showing our children?
I was about to say, the kids are watching, the younger generation is watching, and even the presidential candidates, they address each other as Ulem Jamawa Vitandawili or Muizi.
Yeah.
How come? Why is that? Have we sunk that low?
It is unfortunate because this is how the politics have been carried before. But I can tell you, it's a high time that we change. Because the trend we are taking as a nation, it's not a very good trend. It's unfortunate that we have chosen that path, and not all of us. And that's why I said that other side, I hope that they will condemn, and especially that video. Any woman, it doesn't matter who you are supporting, which side you are in, it's unacceptable. It is an abuse to all of us. You watch that video.
Gladys Shollei, what do you have to say about that? The foul language, the lack of...
I think, first of all, I think the video that she's talking about, I haven't watched it. But generally, yes, I think it's important for leaders to have restraint in their language and the way they speak. I think that's important. Personally, I never speak in disparaging words about people. I may criticize you heavily using facts that are within my knowledge and in the public knowledge, but I would never use disparaging remarks. But you must also realize that the conduct of politicians will usually even stem from the top. So that's why I'm saying if the president, as a true leader, should have been the one to have the most restrained tongue. And I must remind you, Sabina, Sagana is not Uhuru's home. It is State Lodge. It is the seat of the head of state. It is not a place that you say you can. You're not speaking from Gatundu. And I think, Sabina, I want you to check. I know something about the deputy president. He never speaks in Kalenjin unless he is at his home with a few people who speak that language. I know that for a fact. Even when he came to Wasingishu, here at the sports club where he was having the blessing ceremony, he spoke in Kiswahili throughout. And so did the rest of us. So I think you can't use that terminology. And Sabina, between you and me, after the elections in 2017, we went for the first parliamentary group meeting in State House. You know what names we were called. So please, don't try and make it look like Uhuru Kenya. All of us are at fault. I think we must accept that a large number of politicians are at fault. But don't make it look like Uhuru Kenyatta is not also a culprit. The other day, Raila was mentioning the Madoadoa remark, and he wasn't, nobody said anything to him. So I think let's not use double standards here. And even similarly, when you talk about the dancing, I don't know why you're mentioning women dancing. Somebody like my Governor Mandago, is a great singer and a great dancer. And one of the things that always happens when there's functions, people ask him to sing. And I remember he performed a gig for Inua Mama when we were in Wasingishu. How come nobody said that was inappropriate? But he was singing the usual cultural song that we do that. Why pick out that in our NDC that women shouldn't be dancing like that? We know that Millie Odhiambo is a great dancer and is in Azimio. I haven't had you say any disparaging remarks about it. So let's not have double standards on this particular issue.
I think when Baba Madoadoa, he explained.
Yes.
And I even appreciate it. She has reminded me something when she said about Wasingishu and how they enjoy being cosmopolitan. But we also saw in the same meeting she's talking about, the Madoadoa words that came in, they were trying to fight Mishra, who is a Mwindi, And so I don't see the bond and whatever she's talking about, that they really coexist. And now again, if she speaks about double speak, who is doing the double speak? And I think Baba came out clearly and explained what he was talking about, about being the party. And here, they actually mentioned Mishra by name. And they said he should go back to his place, to where he came from to go back to India, really. So let us also be very open. And as we talk about this thing, yes, Uhuru is not the best person. I'm not perfect. She's not perfect. But let us not make things worse. And especially now that we have a few days coming towards the election, we should restrain ourselves. We may have made mistakes in the past, but what I'm saying is this: we need to change. It's a wake-up call, and we need to start condemning even our teammates, the ones we are with. If something goes beyond, we should be able to condemn it and say, no, this is not the stand of our team. It may have happened by a member or somebody who really supports us or a member, but this is not our stand. I think we'll be sending some standards. Because the way we are going now, really, it is not fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a break, ladies, if you don't mind.
I think, Jeff?
Let's take a quick break, come back, and we talk some more. Do you mind?
Yeah, that's okay. All right, so I can take a cup of tea.
Yes, do that. Gladys Shollei there in Wasingishu County. Sabina Chege here, live in the studios. We're talking about politics, folks. Raila, Ruto, Uhuru, language, bad manners, everything. We're throwing it all in, folks. It's time to have a paradigm shift. We're at that moment in time in this country. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JK Live. JK Live takes a break. We'll be back very, very shortly. Don't go away. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Jeff Kanagan Live here at Citizen Television. It's Ladies' Night, and I'm here with two women reps. Western Gishu woman rep Gladys Shollei and Moranga woman rep Sabina Chege here live in the house. Gladys, before the break, we're talking about bad manners, right? So at the end of the day, let's face it. Mm-hmm. Is William Ruto the best candidate for UDA?
Yes, he is, and I think when we took the break, I think Honorable Sabina mentioned something about the Madoadoa remarks. I think, let me put it this way. Linturi, soon after his remarks, by that evening, he had sent out an apology because he received the summons by NCIC that same afternoon, and he actually immediately apologized. Our party leader, the deputy president, went out on air and reprimanded Linturi and said that that is not acceptable in our party and that he should apologize. Even though everybody knew, and the courts have confirmed it now, that when you look at the context in which he was speaking, he was talking about UDA, people voting all 6 positions as UDA yellow without any other color stain. That's what they meant. It was about the party. And even when Raila Odinga spoke, that is what Raila meant. But the double standards here that we saw is the police broke into Linturi's hotel room and sped him out of Eldoret to Nakuru, then to Nairobi. He had to pay a lot of bail, then took him to court, only for the court to say that there was no, the case could not stand the test of law. In the case of Raila Odinga, he simply just got summons, and only because Kenyans made an outcry of the double standards in the social media. So Kenyans are not foolish. They actually are watching these double standards that are going on, and they are very acutely aware of it. Also, Sabina Chege is on record as having made those remarks about rigging. What she basically told Kenyans is that we rigged Uhuru Kenyatta in, and now we can rig Raila in. So is she telling me that she stole the election for Uhuru Kenyatta in 2017 and that Uhuru didn't win? Has she been questioned about those remarks? Because I think it is something that should be taken on her, and we had her on national television. So we'd like to know, Sabina, if you've been held to account on that issue. Something else that I'd also like Sabina to speak to is that she's the chairperson of the health committee.
Yes.
When the KEMSA scandal broke out, the president promised us that within 21 days he was going to give a report to Kenyans. Now we have not received a report to this day. If you remember in Parliament, again before Sabina's committee, Muchache, I think that's the name, the government official from the ministry said that, told Parliament that when Kenya sent out an appeal for support to be able to deal with the COVID pandemic, money was raised, and 1.3 billion shillings was raised, and a private bank account was opened, and that is where the money was deposited and not in the National Treasury. This is the government official who spoke, who said that in Parliament when he was being questioned. So it would be good that Sabina also shed some light to Kenyans on that point, because she's here today. It would be interesting to know.
Let me start with KEMSA, and I'll start with KEMSA because Gladys is a member of Parliament.
Okay.
And you know, she did not be asking me these questions because my committee did an investigation. It tabled a report that is there in Parliament. If there is anything she would want clarification, she should go and pick my report and the report from my committee, and it's clear about KEMSA. Number two, when Susan Muchache, that is a PS. She's not just a government official. She needs to know the people who are serving her. The PS held talked about that fund that was raised by the private sector, and it was not being managed by government. So there's no way that money would have come to Treasury. That money was being managed by the private sector. They're the ones who raised it. They're the ones who are choosing the hospitals to give the things that they need, whether they were PPEs and any kind of help. So that was privately managed. And so there's no way that money would have come to Treasury because it was not raised by the government. And I think that was a clear explanation on the same. On my remarks, and this is not something I would like to discuss more because we're already in court. I was summoned. I don't know which country Gladys lives in. I was summoned by IBC. We went there. And if you look at that clip, I don't know whether you can get it now because we're not coming to discuss it. We were on a rally and I was explaining to people on how they were joking there and saying kulibiwa when they were being told 2017. So I was actually laughing and saying kuna watu wamezama hapa kulibiwa. And I think Moses Kuria, who was in their lounge, explained to them very well, but that ask Kikuyu, when you say kulibiwa, kuna kuiba wimbo na kuna kuiba. So they should have asked me which one I meant anyway. There was a very clear explanation from Moses Kuria. But my point was, and I would want this for the Kenyans to know, and I told the people, if that clip was played to the end, I told them, you have the numbers. We want Raila to be people's project and to be people's president. Why was I telling them that? It was about their numbers. We were doing voter activation. For the election to be won, it's a process. You don't wait till the end that you go cast your vote. You must first have registered, and that was one of the weaknesses that why we went to those areas, because we noticed that they were not coming out to register. So we were emphasizing on their registration. Number two, you'll have to mobilize them to come out and vote. So you can register and not go vote on the final day. That was my contest. It's not the same with our own deputy president who has gone to a foreign land to say that we're going to rig or the election is going to be rigged and he has not been summoned. It's not the same that Moses Kuria also said, mine, I did not even say to Liba Kura, I said to Liba. And of course, you know, Ben Gedai sang that song of Dani Dani, Hururuto. So that was the song, and I think that's the same, but Moses Kuria said Kura. He has not been summoned. So who should be complaining? Is it me or is it them? Mine, the course is ongoing, and because she has worked at the court before, she knows that matters in court, you don't really deliberate on them. But I really wanted to address it so that they don't use it as a way of trying to intimidate, because that is their style.
By the way, I was going to ask you, how come Moses Kuria wasn't summoned?
Even the DP.
And you were?
Yeah, nobody else has been summoned, because the same thing I told you about women. We have to be intimidated.
Do you agree, Gladys, with that? Do you agree, the intimidation? How come Sabina Chege was summoned, Moses Kuria was not?
Okay, I don't know the part what Moses Kuria's remarks were exactly, but what I know is I listened to what the Deputy President was explaining. And what he was explaining is that one of the fears that exist is whether there will be any interference with free and fair elections. And when we talk about this, it is real fear. We saw it when we were in the Kiambaa by-elections. We saw a heavy police presence. In fact, if you look at the clips at the Tarling Center, at some point, the police officer was arguing with the returning officer. Police officers have no business being anywhere near the polling stations. We saw in Kiambaa when they were using chiefs to supervise elections, and it only took the public who decided to eject them out of it. They had been sent there to come and supervise, to come and try and interfere with the elections by intimidating. Because another way of rigging is intimidation or heavy police presence, that people are fearful to freely vote at the polling stations. We saw that people were being tear-gassed in the Nakuru by-elections. We know that there's been threats issued that the deep state is going to use the system to ensure that Raila wins. We have seen that Raila is heavily funded by the state. He's actually a project and a puppet of the state in the way this election is being run. So yes, there is real fear. And every time, I've worked for the Electoral Commission before, and whenever you have any preparatory missions of election observers, what they do is red flag the areas that could actually compromise free and fair elections. So yes, you can't talk about, the Deputy President wasn't saying we rigged in 2017, he was saying his current fears are there might be some interference, but he also said that we are going to make sure that we are completely watchful, that we shall have a parallel tallying center, that thankfully the media have now organized themselves so that at every polling station, because the final results are those announced at the polling station, the media are going to have videos of the announcement, they are going to have photographs of the image copy of the result form, and therefore Kenyans will be able to tally their own results as it happens. That are some of the countermeasures the Deputy President was explaining, that to prevent any interference with polling, because when someone is a state project, then you and with threats that have been issued in the past, there is a real fear. So I don't think it was unwarranted, but neither was he saying that rigging had happened as Sabina did. He talked about the fear that might happen.
You see, these people use reverse psychology. She didn't answer the question, and she now pretends that she didn't hear what Moses Kuria said. She was in the same NDC when Moses Kuria was speaking about it. So, and number two, I never mentioned the word rigging. I actually had an issue with the media house that put the word Kura, because I never mentioned even votes. So, anyway, it suits them, but it's interesting that they would promise us that what has been happening in the Rift Valley, that when it comes to August this year, it will not happen again. That needs to be an assurance. And I think the issue of IBC, I don't want to go back to it. Clear Kenyans can see. Yeah. We don't have to really deliberate on the same. Yeah.
Tell me something. Yes. You both were once Jubilee. You both shared the same boss, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who's now supporting the person who was his biggest arch rival.
Yes.
What do you think of that? How do you think of the way things have changed the last 4 or 5 years?
I'd want to equate the relationship that has been in Jubilee marriage. And you see, people normally meet and they say, till death do us part. But sometimes things become thick and people divorce. Not because of things they had anticipated, but because of maybe things that came up. I might not be the right person or be in the position to happen between the Deputy President and the President. And the day that Gladys was referring when we won the elections 2017, and I want to say we won, so that anybody who had a doubt know that we won. And that's why we're going to Nyanza to help our people, the people there, to see or to learn how to win, because you first must register. When our first meeting, why the President was very fiery, it's because he was warning us from our region that we must support the DP and that we must make sure that we deliver his legacy or their legacy. So that 2022, he actually told us he's the one who will go, even if we will not support the DP then, he's the one who will go and campaign for him. That was the situation then. What happened after, I may not be able to say it. And so I would say, well, in politics, there are no permanent friends, there are no permanent enemies. The handshake came. And we know the fruits of the handshake. For me, I was in Jubilee. I was elected in Jubilee. Morally, it is wrong for me to be earning a salary on a party or a government that I am not supporting. And then when things are good, you go in a rally, you go and claim all these things we have delivered. It is us who have delivered. But then again, you go say the same party that has delivered, you go and say the same party is dead. You at one point you are complimenting and you want to use the benefits or the gains that the same government has delivered for you to move into the next level. So you say, if you go to Muranga, hii barabara ya Mogoiri Wateri, tulijenga, then at the same time you again go and say the government has taken many loans to build the roads. So, this is double speak. It's double standard used. I am not a hypocrite. And the best thing that would have happened with anybody who was not comfortable with the Jubilee government, they should have resigned. We have seen people, you resign and say this party. When I was an aspirant and I became a member, the things that I believed in, they are not following them. So the best thing I'll do, I'll not continue earning a salary on a party and a government. But I don't know at what point people decided to start their own ambition, and I think they were over-ambitious. They didn't wait. Humility is key. I read the Bible in the book of Titus. If you go Titus 3 from verse 1 to 3, it talks about respect of authority. It's even warns that do not speak evil against the people who are in authority. And because, Jeff, I know one day I might also become a president, I would wish that the team I go with, if there is a mistake, they will come and we discuss. But I would hate that the team that I'm working with to be the team that goes out to embarrass me, that go out to abuse me and say very bad words, and they're still part of my team. They have not left me. But they're the ones who are pulling me down. When the former prime minister came and there was a handshake, we know this country was divided into two. There are people who felt that they had won the elections. There are people who felt that they have lost everything. And so when the handshake came, it is good that we go on record what has happened between 2018 and 2022 and the development that has happened and what happened between 2013, 2017. I know that was part of the foundation. Then we can stand and say Jubilee had delivered up to this point, or Jubilee did not deliver this and this that we promised our Kenyans because of these issues. But let us not blame it on Raila. Let us not blame it on the handshake. We are the ones who are in charge. The deputy president himself has never resigned. So you cannot purport that all your duties were taken in, but you continue enjoying a salary. You continued holding meetings in the deputy president's residence. And that's where you meet different people. Even we meet the people from his region. He was still speaking his own language. Then you come and say, I was not allowed to work. Then what were you doing? You should have left. So it is important that we speak the truth and we stop lying to Kenyans.
Gladys Shollei, I know you want to respond to that.
I don't know what she wants me to respond at. I think what we all know as a fact is that between 2013 and 2017 until March of 2018, 5 months after the elections, the president forgot about his Big Four agenda and focused on BBI and amending the constitution and completely restructuring and mutilating our constitution. I think when we speak truth to power, that doesn't mean that we are being disrespectful. In fact, the most respectable thing you can do to those in authority is to tell them the truth. That is why there is the Greek mythology when they said that when the emperor was naked, and people around him, because they couldn't tell him the truth, they told him he has the most beautiful robes. But no one could tell the emperor that he was naked. So yes, the most respectful thing, I believe, is to be able to criticize, and as long as you're doing it factually, which I always do. I remember clearly when we were in Parliament during the time of the BBI debate, my final words as I made my statement in Parliament, I said, I have no doubt in my mind that the courts will declare BBI unconstitutional. And those words came to pass. It wasn't because I was being disrespectful of Uhuru Kenyatta as my party leader. It was because I was telling you the truth of a fact that I know as a lawyer, having read the law and understood how it's supposed to operate. So no one is speaking evil. You quote the Bible and say you should not speak evil of authority. No one is speaking evil of those in authority. We are telling him the truth. So when we tell the president, I remember I wrote an article in the newspaper and I said the establishment of the Nairobi Metropolitan Service is an illegality. Long before the courts pronounced it an illegality. That was not speaking evil of the head of state. That was telling him a fact, which was later confirmed by the courts, and I was vindicated. When we in the women's movement supported the case that was in court that declared the composition of cabinet to be unconstitutional for lack of the 2/3 gender rule requirement, we were not speaking evil, neither were we being disrespectful. We were saying, Mr. President, this is the law, and you swore, holding the Bible in public in Kasarani, to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of Kenya. And every Kenyan, like me, under Article 3, are required to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution. As a member of Parliament, I have taken the oath to protect the Constitution, and also as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, when I was admitted to the bar, I also took the oath of office to defend the Constitution of Kenya. So some things, when I say them, it's not out of disrespect. I am first an officer of the court before I'm a politician. And I think history would judge me harshly if I did not make those statements clearly, because one day people say, Gladys, you're a lawyer, why didn't you say something about it? So this is not speaking evil. And then I don't understand what Sabina means when she said, indicating that the deputy president was too ambitious. You know what? All of us are ambitious, and so are you. And that is why you dared to run in the last 2 terms, and successfully so, to run for the position of woman representative. I know that you are now thinking and weighing whether you're going to run for governor of Murang'a County. And I wish you well, and I encourage you. That's ambition, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing to be ambitious. It is what gives people a drive, and it's what transforms our country and the world. If all of us people were not ambitious, then that wouldn't happen. I watch the women in the market who wake up early in the morning, sell their wares. I watch people who are hawking things on the streets. Those people are ambitious. They are not sitting at the backside of their home. They want to change their lives. They want to do something about being able to raise their family. That's ambition. So ambition is a good thing, and I don't think it's been said as if it's an evil thing. And William Ruto is a seasoned politician. He's been in politics for 30 years. It's the only job he has done before. He has moved from being a young MP of Eldoret North, performed excellently as a member of Parliament, was rated one of the best. He was Minister of Education, he was Minister of Agriculture, again, was one of the most performing, was the top performing minister under Kibaki's government. He has been a party leader. He has merged with, he successfully campaigned for Raila Odinga in 2007. And then now supported Uhuru Kenyatta for 2 terms, not 2 terms, actually over 20 years, because 2002 he supported Uhuru Kenyatta when he lost the 2002 elections. He supported Uhuru Kenyatta when Uhuru Kenyatta lost the Gatundu elections. He was the one who was sent by President Moi. William Ruto was sent by President Moi to go and persuade the late Mark Too to give up his seat of nominated member of parliament in order that Uhuru could be appointed. He supported Uhuru Kenyatta for president in 2013. He supported Uhuru Kenyatta for president in 2017. It only makes sense that his next line of movement in his sterling political career is to run for president. Why would anybody think that's ambitious? It was obvious that he was going there. Where did you expect him to go after that?
Jeff, she has taken a lot of time explaining something that was very simple. All I was thinking about being ambitious is that the president was willing and ready, and she was in that meeting to support the deputy president. He only said, let us first work, then we'll go and campaign, and that was very difficult for some people. I also want to tell Gladys, it's good that she has worked in courts, and unfortunately, they had to kick her out. But the thing is, in the same court that she's talking about, the NMS, it was not considered, or it was not declared illegal. They only instructed that the matter be taken to the county assembly, and then it was approved, and that's how NMS now started working. But having said that, if she was part of the team that went to court to say that the parliament is not properly constituted, and so the court gave direction that, yes, it is not properly constituted, I think then she should have been the first person to say, I'll not sit in an illegal, establishment. If parliament is not properly constituted, then I should go home. So why did she continue enjoying the salary and not leave? And she had gone to court to actually prove that it's supposed to be disbanded because it was not properly constituted because of 2/3. So that's what I'm saying. We cannot purport to be good or saying these good things on the one hand, and on the other hand, we are not taking action. So why did you have then to waste your time to go to court? if you yourself, you're not willing to go and take the step. You know, I remember there's a time, was it Honorable, the late George, about the taxes and everything, when he said he will, the parliamentarians then were not paying taxes. He actually said he will be paying taxes himself from his own salary. That's how leadership comes about.
Yeah. By the way, she encouraged you to go for the governorship, huh? You heard that, huh?
She has done what?
She's encouraging you to go for Murang'a governor.
Oh, thank you.
Let's go to the tweets here. Tweets. Sir Jim Kitch says, will Sabina survive the yellow wave in Murang'a? Ask her if she's convinced she has a chance and how many positions she thinks Jubilee will get out of the 10 top positions in Murang'a County. Can you survive that yellow wave?
Yes, we will. It has been tough. It's not easy. We started with the yellow being 98%. We are now slightly below 70, working on it. The beauty of it that every day we are gaining 1 or 2 people every day. And that means the loss on the yellow part. We may not, get as the biggest percentage like other areas. But Jeff, by the fact that people can sit in Central Kenya, not just Murang'a, and discuss about the leadership of Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, I would say things are changing. Initially, as a leader, if you actually just have mentioned that name, you not even have, you don't have even addressed a meeting. But right now, we're having a conversation. I think now we are becoming mature in politics. And I foresee that in due time, maybe in 10 years' time or 20 years' time, we'll be like America, where you're either a Democrat or a Republican, and you believe in a specific political party because of the ideals. And I also want to just remind Shollei that we didn't just do about BBI, after 2017. We see that we have implemented and working very well, and many other success stories that have happened after 2017. So let them not just tell Kenyans that we only talked about BBI. BBI was one of the issues. I think she's in Parliament every day where we have many bills happening. Personally, I have more than 5 bills that have passed during this term. So we have really worked hard. Yeah. And we cannot rubbish everything saying that we're only focused on BBI. And BBI was beautiful for us. I even had Kabogo asking the DP that one of the asking for him and the Central Kenya people to be in that Kenya Kwanza. Let me be nice. It's just for, they want 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. That is what Kabogo said on Sunday. And I was watching him. So those were part of the things that were in BBI. When we talk about devolution and enhancing devolution and making sure that the money that goes to the counties, that they will surely consider the population, because we tried the formula with the Senate. It didn't work. They voted for, 10 times. It didn't work. And the people that, and the areas that have larger populations are suffering with the devolution. So there were nice things. It may not have been 100%. And again, of course, it went court and there might be some ruling will be made. But I would say that we cannot just say that Uhuru concentrated on BBI and forgot about the other things that he has done. He has done great things. And that's why you've seen Uhuru going to Nairobi. How many hospitals have been built? In the slum areas, Uhuru went at night and found, women were waiting on the chairs to give birth. And then when you deliver, you go out with your baby and another one comes in. And he has transformed the slums. You must have seen the happiness and the reception he got when he went to open the hospital, the newest hospital in Nairobi. That hospital had been left lying there. And it has worked. Uhuru is the one who went to open. He was going to even see those hospitals, how the work was being done at night. So people really appreciate what he has done. He may not be 100%, and of course no one is 100%. But it's important that where work has been done, let us appreciate.
Absolutely. Okay. Truth Master is asking, ask Gladys Shollei, if she were to advise the DP, what would she tell him to change as far as campaign messaging is concerned?
I think my expertise is more as a technocrat, advising on systems that can be implemented to improve the public service delivery to the public, especially the judicial sector, what can be done to, on issues like, position on making the DPP independent, the DCI to have its own accounting officer, make the judiciary independent. And if Parliament does not enact the law relating to application of the 2/3 gender rule, then any person can go to the High Court and seek an order. And if the order is obtained and the order is obtained and Parliament doesn't enact the law, then the Chief Justice can give an advisory to the President to dissolve Parliament. And you must remember that action of dissolving Parliament was supposed to get a certain effect. The effect was to cause to have a political cost on all members of Parliament, so that when they come back, they have no choice but enact those laws that they are required to enact.
Yeah,
but when you say Gladys should have resigned, that's a defeatist attitude, because me quitting was not going to make any difference. It was not going to compel parliamentarians to pass the law. So every time there is an action that's supposed to be done, it's supposed to have a certain impact. If my resignation would have caused Parliament to enact the laws, then it would have made sense for me to resign. If it wasn't going to cause Parliament or compel Parliament to pass the 2/3 gender rule, then there was no point for me to resign. So I'm not one of those people who just give up and throw my hands in the air. It made more sense for me to continue to remain in Parliament and to continue to push my 2/3 constitutional amendment bill, which is still pending, and I will continue to push it. And I'm sure if we keep at it and don't get exhausted, it shall one day come through.
By the way, Gladys, Tim Mutai is asking, why aren't you running for the Senate seat in Uasin Gishu? Yet the county has had a gap since 2013.
You see, my passion is in enacting legislation. I have worked, my experience is I'm a total public servant. I've worked in the executive, I've worked in the judiciary, and now I'm in the legislature. And what happens at the National Assembly is the budget making process, the appointment of state corporation heads and directors, the vetting of CSS and CASs, and PSS. Parliament is also involved in enacting laws. So I look at it that when we have our next government, where William Ruto will be the 5th president, for him to be able to implement the bottom-up economic model, he will need several pieces, up to 80 pieces of legislation amended in order to implement it. He will require a budget, a supplementary budget, to be able to implement the bottom-up economic model.
Yeah.
So the way I see it is that it will be an exciting time for me, like no other, to be at the National Assembly when all this transformation in our country and the economic outlook is going to be happening, and all of it is happening in Parliament.
Yeah. By the way, Gladys,
Senate,
Gladys,
I don't have anything of great interest within that.
Okay. Is it raining there or something? It sounds like it's raining in Eldoret.
Oh yes, it is, and we thank God for it, because it's been extremely dry. We had no water for the cows and no grass.
Okay.
So I'm grateful. But I can go off air if the noise is too much.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's just have some closing thoughts now as the rain comes down. Go on. I'll give you the chance, and then I'll come to you, Sabina. Go ahead, Gladys.
Okay. I think going forward, I'm looking forward to a situation where, like for example, now the election amendment laws are at Parliament. We hope there is a great opportunity for Kenyans to streamline finalize the election law, so that we can be able to have a great election going ahead for us. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to requesting the people of Uasin Gishu County to allow me to serve again as woman representative, more importantly because I can be in the National Assembly and do the things that you can do to transform the economy of this country. It's also a great opportunity for me to come and complete the work of ensuring that we have at least not less than a third of women in any appointive or elective positions. That is still a battle that's been going on, but I know that we've been at it for almost 15 years. I do hope that in the next 5 years we'll be able to change that.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Sabina Chege, I'll give you the last word.
One thing I want to start from where Gladys ended, that I want to encourage women who have the chance from the MCA, Senate, the governors, and the MPs to go for it and not to be intimidated by anybody. Also, request the political parties, and especially the political party leadership, where they're able to offer a helping hand to the women. Let us not go battle it out in Parliament, because we have tried it 2-3 times, it has not worked. So if the political parties are able to sort out this issue of 2/3 and make sure that amongst their governors, amongst the senators, amongst the MPs, that they're able to see if they have a strong woman candidate and maybe she's not financially able, they are able to help her out, they can have a formula. And I believe the political parties that believe in women leadership, they can be able to deliver the 2/3 gender rule and not, again, have some games happening in Parliament. We don't have to, again, use taxpayers' money to go to Parliament. I believe as a human being, for you to know the character of a person, you look at the friends a person is moving with. So, and also how they behave when they're upset. How do they manage their anger? And when they are pushed to the corner, how do they respond? And I think with that, Kenya's not only at the top level, even to the lowest level, choose your leaders wisely. Look at the people they're hanging around with. Look at how they speak. Look at what they come and promise, vis-a-vis their track record, if they have any. Some are going to be new in politics. And so it is important that we don't just rush. And this time I hope there's not going to be a euphoria because I am in this political party. Then there's nothing else that I'm required to do. Then that's how I'm going to be elected. Elect your leaders not because of the political parties they are in, but because of what they can be able to do for you. And especially the ones at the grassroots. Your MCA is more important than your MP. Because if a constituency has one MP, there might be 5 or 6 MCAs for the bigger constituencies. So how your MCA will articulate your issues, because now we have devolved government. Kenyans should now feel, and it has happened for the last 2 terms, that there is a lot of development, a lot of even new towns coming up within the rural areas. I am in health. We have seen hospitals, being built. We have seen places where there were no theatres. The women, the C-section could not be conducted. Already now, because of devolution, there were no ICUs. We are now already enjoying that. So your governor is also very, very important. Your governor and your MCA, because your MCA will also almost dictate, like what we do in Parliament, to your governor, on how the county is going to be run. And I hope that this game of impeachment and everything is all going to be a game in this new term, that we are going to look at the performance and people can work and reason together for the sake of the people they are serving. My prayer is, if COVID ended, I know also this yellow fever will end. And we ask Kenyans, in whose hands are you safe? And from where I am, I believe in Baba. Thank you very much.
Choose your leaders wisely. Take women to speak truth to power. Gladys Shollei, good to see you. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck in what you do. Good luck. Whatever position you still haven't said, still haven't declared.
Wish me the best.
We wish you the best, whichever position you declare.
But I'm going to be serving Kenyans. Thank you.
Thank you so much, folks. It takes women to speak truth to power. Remember that at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's up to you. Remember, every Wednesday, it's all about those 3 letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JK Live. Keep tweeting at Konanga Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, with the hashtag JK Live. Thank you so much. Good night. Good luck. God bless Kenya. Thanks so much.